It's when you make an assumption about somebody based on like previous views.
A predisposed disliking to a certain group not based on any prior experience.
When a person judges someone else on pre-based stereotypes.
Prejudice is like having feelings of hatred like towards another person because like they're a different race or they have like a different gender identity.
It's like racism, but like not as bad, you know?
Prejudice is discrimination against a certain race or ethnicity due to like pre-believed stereotypes.
What is prejudice? Conrad Hughes says it comes from Latin, meaning to prejudge. Prejudice is a negative overgeneralization of another person or group. When prejudice is translated into action, it can become discrimination or worse. So our question is, can prejudice be unlearned, or are people incapable of change?
We believe prejudice can be unlearned.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
No, I don't know.
I do not.
Ignorance.
As you can see from these interactions, many people aren't informed on the topic. The best way to eliminate prejudice is by educating our society. The more people understand what it is, the easier it will be to avoid discrimination against different communities.
The Help, our chosen fiction novel, follows the lives of a white woman named Skeeter and two black maids named Aileen and Minnie. The book explores prejudice and discrimination towards people of color, as well as women in Jackson, Mississippi. Skeeter becomes aware of this injustice and attempts to write a novel showing life in Jackson from the Help's perspectives, using stories from Aileen, Minnie, and several other maids. In The Help, Aileen takes care of May Mobley, the young daughter of a white socialite. Unlike her parents and other white individuals around Jackson, May Mobley treats Aileen, a black maid, like any other person because she had not yet learned to be prejudiced towards her. Because of this, we attribute prejudice to be a result of upbringing, not an innate behavior. Likewise, children can model their parents' behavior of being equal and fair to all races, ethnicities, and cultures. We believe that, with the correct education, kids won't become prejudiced because they will never have learned to treat others differently in the first place.
Gordon Allport, an American psychologist, proposed the contact hypothesis. His hypothesis states we can lessen prejudice if people of different backgrounds come together and make contact. An example of implementing this concept in a real-life setting would be a jigsaw classroom. A jigsaw classroom involves creating racially integrated groups where each member relies on one another in order to complete a task. A study on this method was conducted by Elliot Aronson and showed that creating a jigsaw classroom decreases discrimination and reduces stereotypes.
Our chosen nonfiction book is The 57 Bus. It details the stories of two teens, Sasha and Richard, following a life-changing incident. They were mere strangers, although their paths crossed daily. Peer pressure and a reckless dare caused Richard to make a decision that changed both of their lives. He set Sasha's skirt on fire. The rest of the book follows the aftermath and explores prejudice as it relates to gender identity and sexuality. In The 57 Bus, Richard incorrectly justified his actions by agreeing when police suggested he is homophobic, although Sasha is not gay. However, with the help of education, he was able to overcome these prejudices and see Sasha as a regular person, and not just what they are or aren't. His views were able to be changed by education, even if it was a difficult process, because of his willingness to be educated.
On the contrary, some people believe prejudice is unable to be eliminated with education. They instead believe that there are certain biological and psychological traits that predispose people to developing prejudices. Author Arnie Rhodes writes about this concept in a paper of his. He says, "Where does prejudice come from? Not from ideology," say the authors of a new paper. Instead, prejudice stems from a deeper psychological need associated with a particular way of thinking. People who aren't comfortable with ambiguity and want to make quick and firm decisions are also prone to making generalizations about others. In this article, Rhodes suggests that people who have this psychological predisposition have a need to make quick judgments, and they rely on the first, most obvious information they come across, and stick to it. This is a result of feeling uncomfortable with ambiguity and the unknown, something that Rhodes believes is unable to be altered.
Another argument claiming that prejudice is irreversible is not nature, but nurture. Kids are susceptible to their parents' beliefs because of modeling. These kids see how their parents interact with others of different races and sexualities and unconsciously copy their behavior. This is especially shown with kids in The Help. In the novel, Aileen cleans houses and takes care of the kids, but she usually quits once the kids hit 9 or 10 years old. This is because the kids begin to act on the prejudices seen in their parents. Instead of sticking to either side of the spectrum, we believe that prejudice can be reduced with education, but only to an extent. Much like the community in The Help, not everyone is open to change, so altering the collective population's prejudice would be near impossible. However, if we begin teaching the younger generations to not judge communities different to their own early on, we believe prejudice can be reduced over time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I guess everything can be unlearned.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
I think it can if they're taught right.
Are you able to identify the unjust thinking of others? Are you aware of your own prejudices? Next time you begin to judge someone based on characteristics such as race or gender identity, take the time to consider getting to know them first. Would you rather live your life in constant fear because of your ignorance, or live life loving others and appreciating people's uniqueness? Treating people equally starts with being aware.